Where'll you be going?
Texas?
Damn, son, where'd you find this?
Go on, make it happen.
And now here's Steve and Michelle.
You're listening to Mallet and Michelle coming to you live from Dripping Springs. Not really, we record a week before. Steve's on vacation mode.
Counting down the minutes.
That's right, and wearing flip-flops, and Michelle will hold down the fort. Chaos is inevitable.
It's true. When I go on vacation, it seems like everything breaks loose. Everything goes under contract. The buyers come out of the woodwork. The Fed will probably drop interest rates. And mortgage rates will be 4.5 by the time I come back. It's all going to be a great day.
The big, beautiful bill will be passed.
The big, beautiful bill will be passed. Yeah, and all the chaos with that. Hey, our guest today, I'm very excited. This is going to be a really good show. Marilynn Bell, who is the general manager of Jovie Belterra.
Jovie Belterra.
Who is one of our sponsors, is going to come in and join us.
And we have a special guest joining us. He is a resident of Jovie Belterra, and his name is Larry Mallet.
And he is a relationship. He is related to me. He's my dad.
As far as we know.
That's
one of my questions.
Why am I nervous about that?
Is Steve really your son?
Yeah.
That's my question.
My 83-year-old dad will be joining us. And yes, I'm a little bit worried about that. I hope that I serve the Mallet family well when he shows up.
Well, we also need to thank our sponsors.
Yes.
100%. Deep Eddy Vodka Tasting Room.
Where the vibe is low-key, but the vodka tastes like a Texas sunset doing the two-step on your tongue. That's a tongue twister.
That is a tongue. You know what? I had the pineapple vodka this weekend.
That sounds dangerous.
It was delicious.
Was it?
It really was. I was thinking about making a drunk upside-down pineapple cake. I thought that would be really good with
drunk pineapple.
Yeah. Jovie Belterra.
Where being 55 is a badge of honor, not a reason to trade your dancing shoes for slippers.
Ooh, that was a good one. South Star Bank.
Where the bankers know you by name, smile when you walk in, and don't flinch when you ask for a loan and a kolache.
I don't know if Gibbs smiles when we walk in, though.
I think he laughs at us. That's different.
He's like, crap, there they are. Mallet Integrity Team Real Estate.
Where real estate done right isn't just a slogan. It's a contact sport with contracts, not concussions.
Sometimes I feel like I've had a concussion.
Actually, God, it's been funny this year, huh? I think it's the sellers all feel so beat up. They're just unhappy when the deal's done. They're happy the deal got done, but I think they're just sort of like, oh my God, give me a break.
I saw something.
Buyers are holding all the cards.
I saw something on one of the Facebook pages, like on the it was a real estate Facebook page, like the Austin area, that page.
Yeah.
And someone said, how do you handle, we have buyers that are very excited about this purchase, and they keep making appointments to come see the house. They want to show their grandparents. They want to measure. They wanted this. They wanted that. And the comments in there are like, look, be grateful you have a buyer and just let them in.
Yep.
And then the funniest part was the agent, the buyer's agent responded. She goes, full disclosure, I'm the buyer's agent. I'm sorry. My buyers are really excited, but I'm trying to be accommodating.
Yeah. Well, and that's what happens. The agents are all trying to make sure everybody's happy, but sometimes people are a little unrealistic. We had one of those recently, and we were all glad we got it done, and both buyer and seller, but man, it got a little ugly there through part of the
Oh, this was the one that you had last week.
Yeah.
Oh, you're a little PTSD off of that one.
God, I know. But we got it done. We got it closed.
And go on vacation.
I should have taken one of those pictures with the key that I hate so much.
Yeah,
that
just like
gets posted on social media. Yeah, I hate when I see those pictures of agents. It's like, you're just doing your job. It's not that much of a reason to celebrate.
We have a key, Mallet.
I don't use it anymore. I did fall for that for a while. I did do the stupid key picture at the title company. Look at me. I'm doing my job. It's like I don't ever see a plumber or an electrician going, look, I rewired this fan. Isn't that great?
Yes, they do.
They do not. They might say, here's how you rewire a fan, but they don't go, look, I rewired a fan and I charged this client $257. Aren't I great?
Look, the grinder pump went out again. I fixed it.
Yeah. Hey, I want to follow up with a story we did a couple of episodes ago about this city that was being proposed, or this development being proposed in the Dallas area.
Oh, by my daughter.
Yeah, called Epic City. And we did a story on that who was it that called? Was it John Cornyn? Yeah, John Cornyn called for a probe into this community.
Probe.
A couple months ago, because he thought they were going to discriminate and it was only going to be open to people of Muslim faith. Well, the DOJ did launch an investigation and they just closed it. They didn't find any evidence that there was going to be discrimination.
Well, apparently they had a bunch of permit violations too. They were doing a bunch of stuff without permits. I've also read about that. So I think
the project's going forward at this point. In fact, the DOJ
bad idea. Bad idea.
Well, the community partners is committed to be. This was something that the developer said. Community Capital Partners is committed to building an inclusive community that follows the guidelines of the Fair Housing Act, and we are glad that DOJ found that to be true in their investigation. So,
well, didn't Governor Abbott just pass that foreign entities cannot purchase land?
It's not a foreign entity. Yeah, I think that is true, but this is a different thing.
If you could see my face right now.
I think the people on YouTube can't see your face, Michelle. So
yes.
Anyway, the DOJ didn't find anything that they were concerned about there. So,
well, interesting. No, it's very interesting. Well, I have some good news coming out of Texas.
More good news. Good news.
Have you heard of Senate Bill 25 that Governor Abbott has passed? Make Texas healthy again. What this does, it puts a mandate label of food additives not recommended for human consumption, and it beefs up nutrition and exercise requirements in public schools. I bet you didn't hear about that part. The warning labels are going to be on over 40 different ultra-processed food chemicals, and the label's going to say not for human consumption. So when I eat my Lunchable nacho, it's going to say not for human consumption. Which I think is a great idea.
But how are they determining it's not for human consumption?
Well,
because it has some chemicals in it?
It's the chemicals. It's the 40 different chemicals. But the one that I think you would think is, I guess, very interesting was the recess mandate.
Yeah.
It protects physical recess time K through 6, and they have to have 30 minutes of recess time. And they also cannot use it as a punishment to take recess time away for academic, or you're just being a little jerk face.
Yeah, I mean, that's such a integral part of a child's development, the learning that goes on outside on a playground or bumping into friends and, the conflicts that come out of that. I mean, and the physical activity.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, run it out. Run it out at school.
Yeah, and it's true. And I think the kids come back to the classroom more prepared to learn because they've gotten rid of all that nervous energy.
I agree. Well, they're also requiring that nutrition be taught also. And it's hoping that Texas will lead the way in changing America for the better and not get clogged up in federal bureaucracy, is what they were saying. It's why Texas did it versus the federal government. But even medical schools, when you're talking about nutrition, primary, secondary, and medical schools, it creates the development of the Texas Nutrition Advisory Council, but it requires them to teach this nutrition class. I think it's a great idea. I think, let me tell you, have you heard of the place called Cider Cade?
Yeah, it's down there off of Riverside.
Yeah, it's where
we just ran by it on Saturday.
What was
it
that
used to
place
be
called?
Crab Shack.
Crab
Joe's
Shack, yeah. And before that was Landry's, I think, many, many years ago. I saw more fat kids at this thing. I was actually quite disgusted of how many little chub kids.
Kids are so sedentary now.
I was like, what the heck? Now, look, am I fat shaming fat kids? Yes, I am fat shaming fat kids. I don't think it's right.
I think it's been terrible that there was a movement, which I think is starting to wane a little bit, that we were telling people that you can be severely overweight and healthy. That's just
it's not true.
It's absolute crap.
It's not true. And
I don't think you need to shame somebody. Everybody deserves respect and love, but you can't look at somebody that's carrying an extra 150 pounds of fat and say, you are beautiful and healthy. That's just BS.
Not when you're 10 years old.
No.
When you are 10 years old and when you are 10-year-old boy and you weigh as much, I'm almost 55 years old, and you weigh as much as I do, there's something wrong.
Yeah. And
there's absolutely something wrong.
well, going back to what you're talking about, the food, I applaud these measures that are coming out to teach people about nutrition, but what are they going to teach them? Are they going to teach them the food pyramid, which is proven to be not accurate? And, and what about, I know there's a lot of research now on seed oils, they're saying, which is in almost everything. If you go to the grocery store and try and buy something that doesn't have sunflower oil or canola oil or rapeseed oil, it's really hard to find stuff that doesn't have that in it. It's in almost every food, foods you would never even think about.
Well, maybe we'll get more clarification from the Texas Nutrition
I would love
Advisory
to see seed
Council.
oils go away. I think
maybe you can apply there, Steve.
Yeah, I should.
If this whole real estate gig doesn't work out.
I know in Europe, a lot of the foods that cause a lot of inflammation here in the United States do not cause the same inflammation if you eat them in Europe. And I think it's a lot to do with the additives that are allowed in our country that need to be stricken out of food. But, all that fresh bread on the bread aisle, it all has seed oils in it. So you're going to have some different, bread that doesn't last a month sitting on the counter.
I agree. And I applaud Texas for charging the way with this. One of the authors of the bill was quoted as saying why they weren't waiting for the federal government to do it.
Yeah.
And said none of us ran for office to take direction from a congressman in Chicago, Seattle, or San Francisco. Texas is no longer waiting.
Oh, I like that.
So I thought it was a great...
It's going to be interesting. I love that we have this movement going on, and I'm hoping that people continue to do their own research, not on TikTok.
And get your kids out running around.
Yeah, go out and do something. Don't let them sit in front of the TV all day or in front of a video game. Hey, the big news in the last week or so, and I thought it was pretty funny, how everybody was talking about the Bezos marriage.
Oh, yeah.
And I read some stuff that was kind of silly about all that. You and I were talking yesterday about their Canva-made wedding invitations that look like some 12-year-old threw them together with some stickers and 12 different fonts.
Well, there's been I guess lashback on her dress. There was a gray carpet that was covering some gravel. The invitation, of course, the jets, all the private jets when the same people are wagging their finger at climate change.
You need to stop using straws and plastic bags while I fly my Gulfstream across the ocean to go to a wedding.
Did you know they had a foam party?
Foam?
They had so it was a welcome foam party, which someone said 1990 called. It's like, foam, like bubbles, right? And then at the very end, it was a pajama party where everybody had to dress up like in their pajamas. So there was a picture of Bill Gates in his pajamas, and you had Oprah, the Kardashians. Which I'm sorry, any party with the Kardashians is just trash. Leonardo.
It makes me wonder. These people are not their friends, so it almost seems like they went, okay, let's get the most highest profile people we can think of to come to our wedding. It's like that's not like your next door neighbor that you hang out with on Friday night at a barbecue that you've developed a friendship with.
That was $56 million of Lady Gaga and Elton John singing. But did you know that
I actually feel sorry for them.
You know that Lauren Sanchez is someone in her own right, the person that he married. She is, of course, we all know she's an astronaut. But she's also a pilot. She's an Emmy Award winning journalist. She's the founder of Black Ops Aviation, which was the first female-owned aerial film production company. So she kind of had her own money in that sense. But, back in her ring from Jeff Bezos was $5 million. It's a pink diamond.
Oh, God.
So just opulence everywhere. But more than anything, I was reading about this party was not so much about, or I was deeper diving, not so much about the party themselves, about the Venice people. And the Venice people were pissed. There were protests going on, and people were saying...
Well, everybody's protesting.
Well, yeah, right. Let's protest about protesting. They were more concerned about the pickpocketing, the boats that damaged the historic foundations around Venice, the influx of tourism. But apparently... Bezos did a bunch of, they didn't want gifts, and they donated to a bunch of foundations in Venice, like even prior to the wedding. But one of the funniest things I saw, part of the protest, where they were inflating inflatable alligators and putting them in the canal to stop some of the water taxis from taking the people.
Oh my gosh.
That was pretty
Well,
funny.
piggybacking on me just saying that I feel bad for Jeff Bezos, who's worth $200 billion. I can't believe I said that. It's kind of ridiculous. But made me think when we were talking about that, prenups.
Oh.
So, Jeff Bezos' first wife, Mackenzie Scott, they got divorced in 2019.
And she's a big philanthropist. She's kind of gone into the...
She got $35 billion worth of ownership in Amazon,
Wow.
and she's given a lot of it away.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So we don't know if Lauren Sanchez and Jeff Bezos have a prenup in this marriage.
Nor do I care.
Well, but the attorneys that I read some stories about this, and every attorney said that he would be nuts not to have a prenup with, and they have they have property and they have multiple businesses. And so, and for those people that don't know, a prenuptial agreement is a legal instrument to protect assets in the event of a divorce. But prenups can have all kinds of terms in them that you have never thought of before, like who gets the private jet.
Oh, yeah.
Who takes care of the horses? Who gets the horses? Who gets the houses? And then a lot of them they define what both people can say in the event of a divorce on social media. Like you can't go out and say, my now soon-to-be ex-husband Jeff Bezos is a philandering, blah, 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 blah.
It's an uncoupling.
Yes, right. So, and they have all, the prenups. You can't write a prenup, say, in Texas. It may not be enforceable in other places. So you have a house in London, maybe the prenup that you have in Texas doesn't cover the house in London. So for these uber wealthy people, they have to have like huge bunches of attorneys to draw these up to make sure that every piece of property, every company is covered by that.
This is a problem,
prenuptial.
aside the fact that we are both happily married, this is a problem you and I will never have to experience.
Yeah, it's true.
It's not something we're going to have
I thought this one was really funny. Some prenups specify that a spouse maintain a certain weight, say within 20 pounds of their wedding date.
I have heard of that on some
prenups.
prenups.
Man, I think that would really
You've married a
bother me.
narcissist.
Yeah, I know. Some prenups sunset after a certain number of years. So you're like, okay, if we made it to 10 years, we're good. And then the prenup goes away. So that's kind of cool. But the one thing that jumps out at me is wealthy people are just as insecure as the rest of us. And
I
maybe
think they're
even more so.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you think about it. If you're worth $200 billion and somebody says, oh, I'm madly in love with you. You're the best lover I've ever had. Oh, I want to spend the rest of my life with you. You would have to have in the back of your mind, is it really me or is it that $200 billion?
Let me tell you, Todd and I didn't have two nickels to rub together. We were living off of student loans and a dream.
Yeah. Would you sign a prenup? I wouldn't.
I've never thought about it in that sense. I'm never getting married ever again, ever. This is my one and done.
Yeah, I'm done too. Yeah,
obviously because I'm still married, but I'm never getting married ever again.
I found the person I want to spend the rest of my life with. But it is, rich people problems to consider. I hadn't really thought about it, but it would be really interesting if we get our hands on that prenup with Jeff Bezos and Lauren Sanchez to read it. But I know we never.
One
will.
of the things that the lashback on the amount of money that they spent on this wedding. Somebody wrote on social media, it said, look, I ordered a bed at 9 p.m. At 8 a.m., that bed showed up delivered at my apartment.
Yep.
You go, King,
Yeah.
Jeff Bezos.
Yeah.
You keep doing you. And let me tell you, I've been ordering a lot of stuff on Amazon lately because you never know until you have a baby come back and visit your house.
Oh, yeah. How much stuff you don't have.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so I have probably participated in some of this wealth.
You
for
probably
the Bezos.
have,
So,
yeah. Well, I mean, what a great business he's built. I think one of his best assets is he knows how to hire people that can basically change the world.
Did you
which he
think it was
has.
stupid when Amazon first came out? I kind of did. I kind of thought it was like,
Yeah,
who's going to order stuff outside?
I kind of did, but man, if you look at, them selling whatever, they had 40 titles of books in a garage that they were stocking on shelves versus, God, what they've turned it into now. I just read a story this morning. In the Amazon warehouses, it's just about at the tipping point now. They are going to have more robots handling packages in warehouses than human beings. They've reached that point. The technology they have is insane.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Well, I'm sure there was nobody at this wedding wearing secondhand clothes, but there's some legislators in Congress that are looking to change how we shop for clothing by encouraging people to start buying secondhand clothes. Do you ever buy secondhand clothes?
No.
Have you ever?
I have for like Halloween or something like that, but I'm not into wearing other people's.
Yeah.
Look, I don't know where it's been, what the life cycle it has been. Like you can only wash something so much, and I applaud if that's your thing. If you want to go thrifting, you do, but that's not.
You know who's really good
Michelle
at
not do that.
You know who's really good at this is Holly. She always seems to find those little special deals. She goes and gets it dry cleaned and gets it all cleaned up, and it's like you can't even tell. But anyway, I'm not good at it. But Sydney Dove, a Democrat from California, and Nicole Malliotakis, a Republican from New York, are launching this new caucus aimed to promote, they call it the re-commerce economy. So meaning resale stuff. And they're going to do it by helping platforms like eBay, Etsy, and Depop. Never even heard of that. Yeah. Helping them grow their amount of resale stuff that they buy. Here's an interesting statistic. Right now, if no other clothes were ever made again, or not for generations, there's enough clothes currently on the planet to completely clothe every person that's born for the next 6 generations.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
Yeah, it's all in Michelle's closet.
You're welcome.
But clothes that go into a landfill, they break down, they release a lot of chemicals, all the polyesters and things like that. So they're trying to cut down on that. One of the ways they want to do it is reducing sales tax on secondhand items. There shouldn't be any sales tax on secondhand items. It shouldn't even be reduced.
Yeah, I agree with that.
You should not pay tax on sales tax.
But okay, so wait a minute. What if these clothes? Like I've watched enough hoarders. Okay.
Yeah.
And they have like a giveaway, a donate, and a throwaway pile. And so these clothes that have come from a hoarder's house have now gone into a black trash bag. And I donate to the thrift store. I do donate. But
you know what happens to like a lot of the clothing that goes to Goodwill? You think they're taking it out of that black trash bag and then washing it and sanitizing it and putting it on a shelf? No, a lot of that stuff gets put on a pallet and shipped to third world countries.
I've seen that.
I think a lot of times there it still doesn't get used. It's actually getting kind of ridiculous. But a lot of retailers now are starting to offer, like REI has, there's certain like backpacks and things that, somebody uses them 2 or 3 times. REI has a resale. I don't know if they give you credit or whatever, but they will resale that stuff, like higher quality stuff, not cheapy stuff.
Would you wear somebody's used shoes?
No, I don't like that. Holly doesn't like that either. But
what is off limits for you that if it was pre-loved? Let's not say
pre-loved.
Used.
Ooh, yeah.
What
underwear.
garment? Okay.
Underwear. Underwear, number 1. Yeah, I think shoes would be second for me.
Bathing suit?
I would trunks. Like swim trunks.
Somebody's junk was in that. Somebody's other junk was in the trunks.
I wouldn't wear a Speedo. I would not wear a Speedo, but if I found a pair of real nice like hang ten trunks or something and they looked brand new.
Pre-loved junk trunks.
Re-commerced junk trunks, Michelle. Yeah, I'm not real good about that, but I'm open to it. I saw some stuff on REI that, it's like real good quality, like North Face jackets that they look brand new, but they're half of what a brand new one would cost.
I mean, maybe a jacket or something like that, but I don't know. Part of me is the hunt, like going out there.
Well, you can still hunt in a resale store.
But there's a smell. There's a smell. I can't do
not like that smell at Goodwill.
You know what I'm talking about,
I know. It smells like grandma's house with
BO.
A cat that died.
A cat and some BO. Oh,
I'm sorry, Goodwill. I'm sorry. Yeah, there just is a smell.
Goodwill's for profit. You need to go to the thrift store because that's where everybody in Dripping Springs should donate to the Senior Thrift Center.
Yeah, well, I agree. 100%. Well, I hope they're reusing all that stuff in it, but there is some stuff out in that parking lot that doesn't get used.
No, for sure.
It's going to be interesting to see.
since we're going to have Jovie, Belterra on, we're going to have Marilynn on. I thought about just doing a little segment on the pros of living in a 55 and up community. One of the things is you're kind of living with like-minded neighbors. Everybody's kind of in the similar stage of life. There's often, I guess, we're going to ask her, like the built-in sense of community and shared interest. I think
in the right places there are.
Yeah, you would hope. The other thing is this low-maintenance living. Can you imagine not ever having to do your yard or anything else again?
I know, huh?
That would be nice.
And you have small apartments. You're living in 4,000 square foot houses that need to be cleaned and cooled and paying taxes and all that
and
stuff.
some places offer housekeeping. I don't know if Jovie has like a list of people that they do
I don't know.
housekeeping
They probably
for.
do, but I don't know that.
And then the amenities, for sure. Of course, Jovie has the pools and the fitness centers, and
They have
like
a really
the
good
craft
fitness
room.
center.
Their amenity center is super nice. I really, really like it. And
They have pool. They have a poker room where people are playing all kinds of
Books.
games.
They have like a little
books,
library.
They have puzzles. They have a library. Yeah, it's pretty cool.
And then think about the quiet. You're not having the noisy kids run up and down or the teen parties. But and then there's the security, right?
Yeah.
The social activities, of course, going
There's
back to
something
that.
going on there almost every day or night.
Hey, do you think it's kind of like there's like a little bit of a Peyton's place there? Do you think like when a new female moves in that the men are like, hey?
I think it goes both ways.
You think so?
I
It's probably more of the men.
I
when the
told
men
you
move
this story. I'll tell. I don't think I did. I tell it on the air. I'll tell it again. I was there and we were having dinner with my dad, and we had gotten dinner from I don't know, Chipotle's or something, and we didn't have any drinks, and they were having a little get together up front, and they had water there, and I was like, you know what? I'll go get us a couple waters from that party, and I went up there and I walked up to they have a little bar thing there, and I grabbed a couple waters out of the cooler, and two women within like 30 seconds came up to me and said, "Hey, what's your name?" And the first one I like, "Oh, hi, I'm Steve, and nice to meet you." I don't remember her name. And then I turned around and then this other woman goes, "Hi, I'm so-and-so. What's your name?" And I was like, wow, something's weird going on. And I thought, oh, I just got targeted. He looks eligible. And then I was like flashing the ring around.
They were like
him.
fresh meat.
Yeah, fresh meat.
Fresh
I
meat.
do think that stuff probably does go on there. But you know what? It's cool though, right? It's like you're not giving up on life. You're still thinking about dating and what all that looks like.
Yeah. Well, one of the questions that I had is, can you have overnight visitors? Like if they're under, for how long? Like if your grandkids come to
It's
spend the
in
night.
the lease. Yeah, we'll have to ask Marilynn.
Okay, yeah.
I think you can have your grandkids stay for a day or two, but there was some talk about over there opening the pool up in the summer during the day to kids, but I think the residents were sort of like, we want our peace and quiet. Maybe like, an hour on Saturday you can have it. Or
Those
something.
kids ruin everything.
Yeah. But I'm excited to get Marilynn in here. She is one of the sweetest people you will ever meet, and she really does a fantastic job over there.
I'm excited to get Larry in here. That's even more
Yeah, I'm
exciting.
a little nervous about that, but we'll see. So hang on, sit tight. We'll be back with Marilynn Bell and Larry Mallett, my dad.
Vodka-flavored vodka? How boring.
At Deep Eddy Vodka, we say, why stop there?
Our vodka's made with real fruit, handcrafted right here in Texas.
We've got bold cocktails, refreshing mocktails, food trailers on the weekends, and plenty of local events.
So come sip something with a little more soul than just plain vodka.
Deep Eddy Vodka Tasting Room. Live here, sip here.
Follow us on Facebook and Instagram at Deep Eddy Vodka Tasting Room.
South Star Bank has remained true to its Texas roots for over 100 years. A commitment to the people and communities they serve, along with flexible financial solutions, allow their clients to shine. Mortgage loans, checking accounts, or complete business solutions. South Star Bank is your financial partner. South Star Bank, trusted by professionals, backed by tradition, built for Texas.
SouthStarBank.com. Member FDIC, an equal housing lender. NMLS 410624. Find your joy at Jovie Belterra. Life is better here. This vibrant 55 and up community is located in Dripping Springs, just right outside of Austin. 1 and 2 bedroom homes, resort style amenities, and just steps away from shops and restaurants. Forget the yard work. This is your time to relax, make new friends, and enjoy the life you've dreamed of. Find your joy at Jovie Belterra. Life is better here. Live JovieBelterra.com. 737-387-6870.
This show is brought to you in part by the Mallet Integrity Team, serving Dripping Springs, Austin, and the surrounding areas of Central Texas since 2004. When you need the best real estate advice and service, give them a call at 512-829-2062 or email them at malletintegrityteam.com. And now here's Steve and Michelle.
And we are back here with Marilynn Bell of Jovie Belterra. And special guest, we have Larry Mallet, proof that Steve Mallet was not found under a rock.
I told you she was going to make fun of me. Welcome to you both. Dad, I'm glad you're here. It's exciting to have you.
Good to be here. Yeah, thank you.
Marilynn, thank you so much for being a sponsor. You guys have been great. We've loved having you as a sponsor. But now we want to know a little bit about you and how you ended up being are you the manager of Jovie? Is that what's your official position?
Yeah, I'm the community manager. Well, first of all, thank you so much for having us. And Larry, thank you for waking up early to be here with me.
Oh, that is true.
It's 11:10 on a Tuesday. Life of a retired gentleman. Yes. Yeah.
All the fun. Well, yes, my name is Marilynn, and I am the community manager at Jovie Belterra, which is Austin's or Belterra's newest 55 active adult community. So a little bit about me. I am originally from California. And
where in California?
I am from Riverside County area,
Okay.
so Southern California.
I know that area well. Yeah.
Yeah.
We won't hold that against you.
I was going to say,
promise.
yeah.
How long ago did you leave there?
About 14 years ago.
Okay, well,
Yeah.
after 10 years, you're kind of
Did you come right to
grandfathered in.
Texas?
Yes. So what
Okay.
happened was
We'll give you the native Texan card.
Yeah.
You're all right.
I always like to say I'm grandfathered in because I have been here for 14 years, but also the military brought us here initially.
Okay.
My husband served at Fort Hood, or what's now known as Fort Cavasso. So
That gives you
and we
extra credit.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Exactly, especially in Texas.
Yes.
So we're super thankful to be here. And of course, my journey starts off with Greystar for about 10 years ago.
Okay.
So it's definitely been so fun to be a part of, different communities and be able to serve. So, yeah.
Do you feel like you're acclimated to Texas now? Like you're used to the weather and
Riverside's
the people?
pretty hot.
It is. It's
Yeah.
really hot. It's just dry. So I can definitely do my hair and things will be great, aside from the humidity here. But I think so. I think I discovered I was very well acclimated when I typed in y'all in a text message. So that was definitely
Welcome to
something.
Texas. Yeah. Did you grow up in the Riverside area?
I did. So between Los Angeles and Riverside.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Did you go off to college somewhere in between all that?
I did attend a community college in Riverside County, so it's RCC. So that was exciting to be a part of that journey. And then my husband, when he was stationed here, we moved here. So
Marilynn, I did a little stalking, and you're really hard to stalk because there's also a Marilynn Bell that's a famous Olympic swimmer, I think, or your maiden name too. There's your maiden name also. There's also like a serial killer with your maiden name. So there was that also.
well, now
So it's
8,000 listeners are going to know our secret.
He's not the serial killer for sure.
Just want to
Once you
preface
get to know
definitely not.
Marilynn,
Yeah, once you get to know her, she's
you'll know
further.
she's not the
It's always
serial
the quiet ones. You got to
Yeah,
be careful.
yeah.
But I saw something on your LinkedIn that said that you worked with the Air Force Reserve.
I did.
What was that?
So I was a student clerk when I was in college. I was a student clerk
Oh,
working
okay.
for March Air Force Reserve Base, and I was working in their finance department, of course, of all things. So my job was to accept their orders and give them to the people that were going to pay our troops. So yeah, that was really fun.
I bet.
Yeah, close second with my position now, I would say.
Oh yeah?
Yeah.
Really? Oh wow. So you move here, and then 10 years ago you started working for Greystar.
I did.
Which is the company that owns Jovie Belterra, right?
So we are managed by Greystar, but we're third party.
Okay. Okay. And but you didn't start in this management position. What was the first position that you had?
Yeah, I was actually a part-time leasing professional, and it's actually a really interesting story because, as you know, I can be fairly extra, and as Larry knows with our pictures and videos, when my husband returned from deployment, I hired a photographer who worked for Greystar. I did not know property management or who Greystar was, but she comes to me, and as I was waiting for my husband, she says, you know, you would be really good at leasing. And it was a part-time leasing professional position, but mind you, I had been waiting for my husband for 10 months. So there was just, I was not thinking about having a position or a job at that point.
Yeah.
And so very quickly, that turned into, you know, let me just go in and see how things work. And I secured the position. And I've just been so very grateful for that leadership team that had the patience with me to become, you know, leasing professional part-time and then eventually go up to assistant manager and now community manager.
You were in Cedar
That's
Park,
cool.
right? Is that where you were?
I started in Copper's Cove,
Oh,
Texas.
okay. Yeah. I know where that is.
Yep. And then previously, before Jovie, was Cedar Park.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Was it a 55-plus community that you were in?
It was not. I actually started my first 9 years with Greystar. We're in conventional. And this past year, it was active adult.
Okay. Active adult. I like that. We need to start using that more.
Active
adult.
Active adult,
Yeah.
yes.
What, so how is Jovie different from just other apartments then? What's the big difference?
Oh, there's a huge difference, starting off with Larry here.
Yeah.
But I think that it's really, well, first of all, you know, I think that my leadership has always been the same. You know, it's really in the person and in the heart to do what we do and to be able to genuinely care for our residents and our team members who we're responsible for. But I think that one of the biggest differences is it's definitely more heart, I would say, an active adult. You become part of their families, just like now. You know, Steve, I would have never met you had I not,
true.
you know, met Larry here about a year ago.
Yeah.
Which, P.S., he is our first resident ever at
Very
Jovie.
first
So
resident at
very
Jovie.
exciting.
Yes.
So, you know, that I think it's the heart that really is more of the difference. You have more of a purpose to come to work and to be able to help out with not only your management's, you know, duties, your leases and things like that, but you're also able to be a part of something more.
Yeah.
And that's super exciting.
I know Dad says one of the best parts of his day is he comes down and says good morning to you all and you guys give him a hug and get to visit.
Well, is it good morning or is it really good afternoon?
That's true,
Dad,
Michelle.
You've said that many times, haven't you? That you like going down there to the office.
Yeah, it just starts my day really well. Yeah, I go down and get a hug from Marilynn and Sydney and Liang even.
Oh, yeah.
And Audrey.
Liang.
Audrey, yeah. So, yeah, I go down and get a hug every morning.
Yeah, that's great. The heart thing is interesting to me because I didn't expect that when Dad moved in there. And you guys are so friendly and so supportive of the residents, and you try and get them plugged in and feeling like part of a community there. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, that is really cool. It's probably our favorite thing.
Yeah.
To be able to go in there and see. And so many relationships have built from that too. And I think that's the other part about active adult is it's not transactional. You know, we really want to make genuine long-term relationships. And I think that that's something the whole team as a whole, we can definitely agree to the fact that that makes all of the difference.
Yeah.
And again, it's all genuine. So it makes going to work fun and seeing everybody super fun.
I got a question for you then, because I swear you're like the happiest person I've ever met. I've never seen you frowning or not
Wait a
have a
minute.
smile. No.
She really is. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wait a minute.
Sorry, Michelle. I know that it is not roses and rose-colored glasses every day. How do you keep this positive attitude every day when, you know, that somebody's toilet's backing up and, you know, vendors dropping stuff off, you don't know what it's for? How do you keep this positive attitude?
Yeah, well, I mean, I can definitely, well, thank you for saying that. My husband might disagree sometimes.
I've never seen that side of you.
But no, I definitely do think that even in situations like that, I'm grateful that, first of all, I have the ability to react to the situation and be able to provide comfort to a resident that might already be experiencing discomfort, you know, with whatever it is that's going on. I think that a good example is our winter storms that we've had, and unfortunately, we've been impacted, not at Jovie, but in my career, we have been impacted with multiple homes that are affected. And I think at that point is, aside from being a management leader, how are we going to be able to best assist our residents as people? So making sure that we're doing things the right way, making sure that we're providing heart and support as best we can. There's been times where it's Christmas Eve and there we are helping out a resident and even my husband, it's really a whole affair. Yeah. It's a whole family affair for everybody.
I have seen your husband there many times helping out. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I need you to let your guard down a little bit. So when somebody comes in and they've had a really unfortunate event and they're being mean and kind of nasty, how do you handle that? Because I know it happens.
She turns their electricity off.
I'm like, this is where I go back in my chair.
Yeah.
No, I think that it's really listening at that point and being a good listener, trying to see it from their point of view as well. Not every conversation ends positively. It just doesn't. And sometimes that's tough. I'm one of those that I will take it home and try to figure out how I could have best assisted in that situation. But often I think that maybe sometimes a resident will realize, oh, I was a little too harsh. They'll apologize. Or maybe there's just at the end of the day, how can we try to make it better? If that wasn't the right decision at the time, then how can we grow and move from this? Because we highly value all of our residents, but I think that definitely listening and trying to best help at that point is probably the easiest.
Yeah.
I want to ask you about the misconceptions of a 55 and up community, because I have had to kind of correct people in the sense that, oh, this is just another level or another step of an assisted living facility. And you don't have nurses on staff. It's all independent living. And so what do you think in regards to a 55 and up active community, what is the most misunderstood thing about it?
Yeah. Well, I think, first of all, we have just evolved in the apartment industry, especially with active adult. I think that one thing to consider is that our residents are active. They're independent. They are actually, my husband's best describes it best when he says it's like living on a cruise ship. And you are just, you're getting your calendar of all the events. The lifestyle piece of active adult really makes a difference. And Audra, myself, and Sydney were more your cruise directors, except, and I tell this joke all the time, so I apologize for those that have heard this before, but we just don't come around and make your towel animals for you. But we can definitely add a towel animal making class if we'd like.
I think you should. That would be a great opportunity. What about also, here's another kind of off the cuff question. What about the love scene in an active 55 and up community?
That is a good question.
She's looking at Larry. She's looking at Larry.
I don't know what that means.
Have you seen some romances blossom in Jovie?
I haven't seen any. No, I haven't.
Larry's
blushing.
like, I'm missing out.
Yeah.
He's blushing.
There's only 4 single men who live in Jovie. And there's, 50 single women. I don't know how many single women.
That's indicative of, that.
Michael. That what I hear is 4 eligible bachelors then at Jovie Belterra, right?
Your dance card should be full.
Yeah. And you're one of them.
Yes, I am. I don't know about eligible, but I'm a bachelor.
You're kind of set in your ways, aren't you?
Yes, I am. Yeah, I have my routine. I like my routine. I don't like to have it disrupted. Yeah.
Oh, I wonder where you get that from.
Ding, 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 ding.
Yeah.
I have the same thing. Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah. Marilynn, you were saying about the events and things like that. I went to one of your events that you put on, the Elvis impersonator.
Yeah.
That was fun, wasn't it, Dad? We had such a great time. Yeah. How do you come up with all these ideas for that stuff?
It's all together as a team, you guys. We literally do sit in our leasing office, Audra, Sydney, and I, and we're like, well, what kind of things do we want to do? And we also involve our residents. So I think right now we're fairly new to where we want to make sure that we're curating the events that our residents want to partake in. So if they want to see Elvis and, Larry here didn't want to dance that day, but somehow we got you up there.
Yeah.
But I think that, it's all collective. It's community, it's team, and we're going to put it on the calendar and see how it works.
Yeah.
So a lot of the things that we do, happy hours, birthdays, Elvis night, which that was super fun.
Marilynn, do y'all still have the farmers market? Are y'all still doing that, or y'all will do that seasonal?
We don't have the farmers market anymore, but we are thinking of new ways to be able to still be a part of the community and bring some of those events to the community as well for people to visit us.
Was that a Gray Star decision, or was it the City of Dripping Springs decision?
On the farmers market. On the farmers market? No, it had more to do with the traffic.
Yeah.
I just don't think that our Belterra area, the vendors didn't see as much traffic as they would have liked for them to be successful.
I think it was because the stuff that you had there was really good. I think it was the location, front of the building there. And, at 12 o'clock, it was, even in April, April or May, the last time we were there, it was hot. That's probably what hurt it the most, was people couldn't spend very much time there.
Much time in the summertime.
Yeah.
Also, it can be pretty windy. So that's the other piece for, making sure our tents are being secured and things like that. But we did run it from September through, I want to say April. It was September through April. And it was great. We met so many new people in the community. And not only that, our residents got a chance to partake on Sunday mornings,
We
roll
spent
down.
quite a bit of money there ourselves,
That's
didn't we?
the thing I find
We
interesting.
spent a lot
At
of money
Jovie, in addition to all of the amenities, like the fun stuff, like you said, the pool and the pool table and the poker room and things like that, there's an area where you have like refrigerators. So, right, that they can drop off their food, or what was that?
Well,
It's homegrown.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's homegrown.
so they can come get their milk. There was a little. It was like a little.
It's like natural stuff, though. It's not just like HEB milk, but it's organic, local produce and milk
That is
products.
correct. Yes, actually, that's a partnership with Homegrown, which they are in Dripping Springs. Quick shout out to them. We are grateful to be just a pickup location for them. So they really run everything from eggs to fresh pasta to, produce and baked goods. They really are the superstars behind that.
How have you guys been trying to get integrated into the Dripping Springs community?
You've done a good job with that.
Thank you.
Tell us how you've been doing.
Yeah. So, I think when we initially got here, that is always key, right? Is for us as team members to be a part of the community we believe in and we're a part of. So, a lot of that has to do with some of the events that Dripping Springs does, like our Christmas on Mercer, Founders Day, which was super fun. I've never been to that before, but that was a fun time. And just making sure that we're good citizens of the community. Any volunteer opportunity, which I know we've talked about briefly before, but anything like that we can be a part of and support is really where our heart is.
Yeah.
So, and it's something Gray Star encourages, and so does our ownership. So, I think it's why we've been so successful. Is it's really in us as a team to be able to go out and support.
When you took this position, did Gray Star give you like special training to take this position and run with it the way you have?
No.
Really?
Initially, yes.
Yeah.
But I always like to say too, even when you hire, you're hiring the people for who they are as a person, and everything else can be taught. So in my case, yes, I've had such great leaders in my path and in my journey that have taught me to be the leader I am today. But necessarily for active adult, there are tons of opportunities for training, whether it's WebEx courses or sometimes even reaching out to our own regional manager, which I know Larry has met me for, Judy. She's been incredible, and the whole active adult team have been great in me transitioning from conventional to active adult. So, super fun.
What did you know about Dripping Springs before you came out here?
Well, I knew it was a hill country, I knew the wineries, and I knew that it was definitely beautiful. I came from Cedar Park, so North Austin area, making the switch over.
Yeah, I know.
Making the switch over to Dripping Springs, I thought was just the best thing to do for for my family, for my husband and my pet Penny. So I think that it's been great so far.
Yeah. I do you want me to ask her rapid fire questions?
No, I've got.
Okay.
Let's do that at the end.
Okay.
What do you think Marilynn, what do you think the most important thing an aging person can do to continue to stay engaged and have a good quality of life? What are you seeing over there at Jovie?
I think that it's definitely, we see people all the time that don't initially want to engage or partake in the lifestyle piece. But I think that once they do, even just going to one event and being around like-minded people that have maybe experienced the same things that you might have, or even start off with our team, which sometimes they do. And in, Larry's case, he's actually in charge of our resident directory.
Yeah.
So we see him fairly often. He used to come in with tangerines. I almost thought he had a tangerine tree growing in his yard with how often it would be. So, yeah.
Keeping them sort of focused on the other residents and not letting them just lock themselves in their apartment and kind of be by themselves.
Yeah, being engaged, I think, makes all of the difference. And even if it's personal one-on-one, we've had some shy residents too, and our team does an incredible job in making sure that they feel comfortable if they don't want to come to an event, or maybe we bring them food from an event, and the next time they'll come out and, they'll want to partake.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I think one time we were there for our Dripping Springs Elite meeting, and we all went to Larry's door, and we knocked on his door, and he answered in his pajamas.
That's right. You were not expecting that, were
He's
you?
like, who the hell are all these people outside my door?
Bunch of realtors all dressed up. Yeah.
What time was that? Was that in the afternoon? Or?
Yeah, it was like 2
3 o'clock in the afternoon. Yeah.
It's happened once or twice after that too.
Yeah, I know.
Well, Michelle was saying, but before you guys came in, what was the blue zones? That one of the most important things as you age is to stay engaged and continue to have friends. So I think it's super important that you encourage those residents. I'm sure there'll be some that won't participate, but to encourage them to get out and make some friends.
Yeah, for sure. I think that it takes time sometimes, and we are starting to see our lifestyle events grow, which is nice too. Our community is growing as well. So the more personalities that come in there, and again, they partake in maybe as they're chatting, they can form relationships.
Right.
And something like a good example actually is Romeo, them getting together.
Yeah. Dad, you want to tell us about Romeo?
Yeah, well, Romeo stands for Retired Old Men Eating Out. And we go out every other Thursday. We've been going to the Oak Creek Cafe, and I don't know if I can give them a shout out.
Yes,
Of course you can.
But,
Yeah.
we really enjoy them. We enjoy going there. So that's our Romeo group.
Yeah. What do you
And
guys
there's
talk about?
Oh, you would be surprised.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's not adult conversation usually. It's just about life.
Yeah.
Yeah. We don't talk about anything. No politics and no religion. We don't do any of that stuff. So
If you want a lively conversation, though, can
Well,
say,
I've
how
been-
did you vote in the last election?
I know I've been tempted, but I haven't got the nerve.
No, I don't think that's good. But
Steve and I are going to show up one day. We're just going to pop in.
I told you to ask the guys in the group, what do they still have on their bucket list?
I asked that the
That's a
other
good
day,
one.
and I didn't get much of a response.
Really?
No, I got a couple of responses from things they wanted to do but never got around to. But
Yeah.
it kind of died out. Yeah.
That's a good question. Sometimes the team will come up with daily questions. And so we will ask our residents, if you could go back, what can you change? Or, things like that. And sometimes we pull out the tissues. And again, it's more of that personal feeling with our resident. But that's a really good one. What's on your bucket list? I'm going to try that.
What is some of the things that I think if something that stands out for you, something that a Jovie resident has taught you or that you've kind of gone home with and you're like, wow, okay, I didn't have that in my.
That's a good question, Michelle. I feel like I think about things all of the time. We sometimes often get the whether they've experienced loss or, they're grieving or where we can come in and be helpful in that aspect. I would say that a big one that I hear often is downsizing. So we often hear, we've lived in our home for 65 years, and that is incredibly tough to now go into more of an active adult lifestyle
And
where
pick and choose what from your materialistic stuff, what's important.
I bet
to you.
from the past 65 years.
Yeah.
So I think that a lot of the times I do take that home and I'm like, I can let go of that. It's not something that it's a little easier for me to let go of just personal items at home, but also experiences, and I think often whenever I've asked some of our residents, if you can go back, what would you change? It's always been spending more time with family and being more present. So I know that that's something I always take to heart is the importance of that. And I think that sometimes we often forget in the hustle and the bustle of every day and how fast our 8-hour, 9-hour, 10-hour days go. But that's something super important. And I'm grateful. Some of our residents encourage me and the team, hey, it's 6:00. You guys have to go home. It's either that or you guys are throwing parties after we leave, one of the two.
It's been a big blessing for Holly and me to have my dad moved here close to us. You were living in North Carolina, and we only got to see you once in a while, and now we get to see you a couple times a week. It's been a big blessing in my life.
It has been great. It's been wonderful. Yeah.
And your life over there it's not super complicated, which allows you to keep your schedule and do the things you want. You're not having to mow a lawn and take care of a house and all
Larry,
that.
that leads me to what was the decision for you to finally just do it and move here to Dripping Springs?
Well, I don't think we can talk about that.
Oh, well, it was
I'm
just
sorry.
time. It was time.
It was time, but no, but being close to Steve.
One of the things was that you and I had become kind of separated. Over the years. You had your life, I had mine. I was in the Navy. I was moving around. You were moving around. And I just thought it was time that we tried to get back together again, and it's worked out really well.
It has, We've been able to rebuild the relationship that had been pretty fractured for a long time.
Yeah.
Do you feel like it has helped your relationship as well? I'm asking
with my dad,
with your dad.
I don't honestly. The relationship we had prior to you moving here wasn't much of a relationship. We would go.
No,
I think there were times we were 2 or 3 years. You and I didn't even speak, even via email.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, but I mean, and I'm not saying that to make any, to lay blame or anything. But we were both equally guilty.
Well,
in
you're
that.
both just living life. Yeah.
Life gets
Life
carried
gets
away,
busy.
and it does.
So since you've been here in Dripping Springs, here in Texas, I'm curious as to one of the biggest changes, and that's HEB. What are your thoughts on? What are your thoughts on our grocery stores here?
Well, there's only one.
Well, one so
but it's
far.
a good one.
It is a good one.
It is a good one, yeah. It gets me out and gets me dressed. It gets me dressed up a couple times a week.
Yeah.
I thought it was Heb when I first moved here, and I got corrected. I got corrected on that. Yeah, no, it's a great store. But when I first moved here, I was looking for a Kroger or an A&P. They don't exist.
No Piggly Wiggly here. No.
It's HEB or nothing.
Yeah. Well, and if you're going to only have one, you need to have a good one like
That's
HEB.
right.
That's
We're
right.
pretty
It
proud
is-
of our
it's
HEBs.
good. Yeah, they're very good. They're very nice stores.
Yeah.
Larry, do you think that as you have gotten older, do you think it's harder to meet new friends? Like if you just decided to live in a normal apartment, not a 55 and up, not where there was active activities all the time, do you think it would be harder?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. They schedule a lot of activities, and you go and you sit around with people and you talk, and I've made a lot of nice friends, a lot of good friends here.
Kind of pulls you out of your comfort zone a little bit in one sense.
Yeah, they do. Yeah, and sometimes I have to kind of force myself to go to an activity. But I usually
the apple
go,
doesn't fall far from the tree.
I force Steve to do activities too.
Yeah, and I'll go to some of those activities, and after about 2 hours, I look at Michelle and go, "I'm exhausted."
I know. It's like you've peopled way too much today.
Marilyn, I got a couple questions for you. They say that 55 is the new 35. Are you seeing that the people that are moving into the community are more active than they maybe were 20 years ago?
Marilyn's probably in her early 30s,
I know,
so that's probably she's like, wait a minute.
I feel like people are aging more gracefully and they're staying healthier. I mean, Dad, honestly, you're 83 years old and you're in that gym probably.
Thank you for that.
Yeah, I bet you're. How many days a week are you in that gym? Probably almost every day.
I go every day. I try to go every day. Yeah.
I mean, good for you. There's so many people that have just like, they're sitting on the porch waiting for the end, and you're not doing that. You're out there kicking butt and taking names.
Yeah.
I like that. Yeah.
We see it. I always tell them, we're so proud of you. You got up and you went, and that's a win all on its own.
Yeah.
So
this might be a little sensitive, but have you had people that have moved in and you get a sense that they're sort of like parking themselves for their end of life? That they've just sort of like resolved to the fact that the end is near and that they're not going to really push things too much?
No.
You haven't seen that?
We
Good.
haven't.
I'm glad.
We haven't
I'm glad
seen
to
it.
hear that.
We've seen shyer residents for sure, especially leaving their families or leaving their home of all those years. But then we also see them evolve. And that's so neat to be able to see them start to come out of their homes and partake more in our events and maybe go down, grab a cup of coffee. So it's quite the opposite, actually. We've seen more of a, I'm going to live at Jovie and be able to enjoy all of the amenities and everything that comes with it.
I think that is probably because of the atmosphere that you and Audra and Sydney create, though, where people, and Dad's nodding his head, that you create this atmosphere where people feel hope again and they want to participate and they want to still do big things in their life, regardless of their age. And I give you kudos for that because it's not an easy thing to do for some people.
Thank you. Well, it's a true honor to be able to be a part of that, so I definitely can't take all the credit. And I'm one of those people that I think I'm more awkward with accolades or things like that. But I definitely do think that it's a purpose for us. It really is for us to go and be able to be that for somebody, be kind, smile, even when things are rough outside. But something that we can control is our community and, how we make people feel. And that's all super important to us.
Yeah. Kind of a off topic question. How much of your time do you spend doing tech support for your residents?
Well, that's a really good question. We've started adding our tech support to our calendar just in case. But, I think initially maybe, sometime. But here recently, I think you're tech savvy, actually, Larry. You're pretty tech savvy.
You are pretty tech savvy.
I have an IT guy.
Yeah, so do I. Yeah, so do I.
Yeah, you're pointing at the wrong guy. I probably get you in more trouble than I help.
Marilynn, what do you say to somebody who is kind of on the fence about moving into a community like this?
I say, why wait? Why come on in and start enjoying the cruise life, essentially, more of the resort style living. I think that if we're tired of doing that yard work and having to respond for HVAC repairs and things like that, that's a huge perk is allowing our team to do that. So it leaves more time for somebody to be able to travel. Maybe that's on their bucket list is going to Italy or anywhere in the world, so that's where our team comes in and provides more of that 24-hour stress-free maintenance life. And our team is there in case of an emergency. So why not? Even I want to live there.
Yeah. It gets more and more attractive the older you get. When you're younger and you want the great big house and some land and you want to be out on your tractor mowing and everything, you get to a certain age, you're like, I don't want to do that anymore. I want to just come and go as I please, like you said, travel. Yeah. I've got a question for you about sort of switching gears. How do you take care of yourself so that you can show up to work and be positive? I'm actually not asking for me. I'm asking for Michelle. So if you can give her some advice, I think she'd really appreciate
I think I do a pretty good job of taking care of myself. I don't think I've worked a Friday in a month.
Yeah, that's true. Marilynn, but how do you make sure that, what do you do for yourself that makes sure when you show up to work, you're good to go?
I will say, you guys, it can be tough, especially when we're so consumed and take such pride in what we do. And I think that for me, it's my family. They humble me. My husband is incredibly supportive, and he is, I don't think that he realized when we got married that he would also marry into the multifamily industry. But it's just, for me, it's him and just finding the comfort at home that I need for somebody to listen to me, whether it's something that happened at the office or how we can make things greater. He's always the best support system for me. So I would say that that's probably it.
You mentioned on your bio that you've been trying to work out. How's that going?
Well, trying is still in there.
Yeah. You need to get on the schedule with Larry.
I
get on the schedule with Dad.
I said, next time you go in there, I really need to. That's why I tell him, though, it's the moving that already is a win.
Yeah.
Because I'm just sitting at the office and I'm like, Larry, you go, Larry.
That's me when Steve comes in and he's like, oh, I had a really hard workout. So, yeah, me too.
Yeah. She's almost up with you, Dad. She sleeps till about 8:30, rolls out of bed.
Right?
Yeah.
What makes positive, happy people one day? This old curmudgeon.
Sometimes at like 10:30 in the morning, I'm like, are you coming in today? Are we going to be blessed with your
Because I got to
president?
go to Chick-fil-A and get his tea for him.
Yeah, that's
Which
true.
they're amazing. The Belterra Chick-fil-A, oh my gosh, quick shout out to them. Incredible team.
Yeah.
Oh, good.
For sure.
At Chick-fil-A in general, I don't know how they hire so many smiley people. They must take it from you. You learn how to do it.
Remember, I came from Chick-fil-A.
Yes,
so
I used to work for Chick-fil-A. So I've got one more question, then you can do your rapid fires, Michelle. The technology, are you keeping up with technology yourself? I think you mentioned something in your bio about it's changing so quickly. Are you doing AI and ChatGPT and all that now?
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, even on our website, we have BetterBot. That's an AI tool for us. So it's...
Oh, yeah, I see that.
Yeah, it schedules appointments for us. And whereas, yes, I'm very grateful for the evolving world of AI and technology. I think that one thing that can't be taken is the people to people.
Yeah.
So whereas I'm so grateful to have the assistance in scheduling and follow-ups and things like that, I think that there's still a sense of human with interaction. And so that's great. But yeah, we evolve. In the past 10 years of me being in the industry, we've evolved a lot, especially after COVID.
Yeah.
We had to get creative on different things. So, and some of those things have just stuck and just evolved to make us even better and better help out our residents and our clients and the people. So, yeah.
Yeah, we've been using a lot of tech. Real estate's always been very technology heavy, but ChatGPT has changed a lot of things for us.
mine's usually how to hide a body.
Yeah. Hasn't worked yet,
It
Michelle.
hasn't.
Yeah.
You're still here.
Yeah.
You're
And by
still-
the way, that history never goes
Darn
away.
it. For
Yeah,
sure.
I pride myself on trying to write creatively, and I do an article in the Outlook every couple months, and I think that's one of the things I'm not excited about ChatGPT is there's a lot of people leaning on that too heavily, and it takes away a lot of the personality from writing because you can identify it, I think.
It does, yeah. I do. I use it. I use it more for, can you make me a 7-day menu for, without red meat or, things like that.
Yeah.
But you lose that touch. And also there's certain words that ChatGPT loves to use, the hyphen, unwavering.
Yeah.
Boast.
And so,
Yeah.
so I think that's definitely, I notice it too. But in my personal life, I do like ChatGPT. It is incredible. It's great.
We really rely on it sometimes too. But have you tried the one where you look in your pantry and you say, I have a cucumber, pine nuts, corn nuts, and a can of black beans, and say, give me a recipe.
You
And
know what he
boom,
says?
pops out a recipe.
You know what? Your ChatGPT, take your wife to dinner. That's what it says. It says, go to
You're
dinner.
probably right.
Mallet, go to the grocery store and take your
grocery
wife to
store.
dinner is what it says.
I think you're right. I have to try that next time.
That's all you have in your pantry.
Yeah.
Okay, so it is. When the apocalypse happens, Mallet's going to starve
That's
is what's
true.
going to happen.
That's true.
What is one thing that you never start your day without, Marilyn?
Being thankful. Just being thankful for
I
the
was like
fact.
thinking cup of coffee, but being thankful.
That is really
You know, I
good.
actually do not drink coffee. I don't know what it is. I would be bouncing off these walls,
I'm
you
not
guys,
allowed
if
to
I
drink
did.
coffee. Yeah.
Yeah, Michelle, if she has too much caffeine, we're in trouble.
Yeah, we are. Yeah, for sure.
She used to drink like a cup of coffee or something. She'd come sit in my office and she'd go, I got an idea. And she'd have a little notebook and she's like, we're going to do this and this and this and this and this. And we do that for about half an hour and none of those things
Steve
ever
is like,
happen.
I'm tired. I'm tired of just listening to you.
Steve, are you kind of like, yeah, let's do it. Let's do
I
all
am.
those.
Yeah, let's do all those things. That's great. When can you get on that, Michelle?
See you tomorrow. Marilyn, if you could go back and give your younger self just one piece of advice, what would that be?
Ooh, that's a good question. I would say don't worry too much about what people think. You know, just stay true to yourself and just everything's going to work out. Take a deep breath and take it day by day. This too shall pass. And tomorrow is a new day to have an opportunity to do something different that you didn't today. Just trying to stick with that.
You are so sweet.
Larry, I want to ask you that same question. If you could go back and give your younger self one piece of advice, what would that be?
I would not dropped out of high school. I think I just lost a whole bunch of ideas and opportunities. Opportunities in my life because of that.
But you dropped out to go join the Navy, didn't you?
Well, I dropped out and then I went and joined the Navy. Yeah.
Didn't you join when you were 17?
Yeah, I was in boot camp in Chicago, Illinois on 6 days after my 17th birthday.
Wow. I can't believe it. Like at 17, did your parents have to sign to let you in? I had to.
Yeah, they were real happy to sign.
Again, the apple doesn't fall far from the tree. I was kind of a troublemaker when I was a kid too, huh?
No, you weren't.
No way.
yeah,
I can't see that.
I was.
Not bad.
Steve has this
memory is
persona
fading,
of himself of that he was this big old bad
Well,
troublemaker.
You know, the thing was, I was in the Navy while he was a child, and it was tough for him because we moved around a lot. He had to make new friends all the time. I moved him out of high school in his senior year. We went from Rota, Spain to Homestead, Florida, and he had a tough time adjusting. to
Yeah, I
that.
did. You know what? Looking back, though, I think even though that experience was hard, it probably helped make me the man I am today, you know, in part because working through that and pushing through that and persevering, and because I almost dropped out of high school too. I was really struggling. It wasn't so much the fact that it was my senior year as we had not been in the United States since I was in first grade. So we lived in London and Spain, 2 tours in Spain, and I came back in my senior year. The last time I was in the States was 6 years old, and then that was a big difference.
So you're saying it's your fault that he's like this, is what we're saying. I'm going to meet you out in the back.
I was also under the impression that it was your first time dealing with racial prejudice.
It was actually, yeah, because when we lived overseas, I wasn't exposed to that. So one of my friends when I was a senior was this black kid, Damien, and we were getting a lot. It was South Florida. We were getting a lot of grief for that because it was very segregated. That, you know, at lunchtime, the black group was over there, the white group was over there, the Hispanics were over there.
What year was this? 80, 79?
No, it would have been 79, I think. Yeah. No, it would have been 1980 because I was supposed to. I was supposed to graduate in 81, and I ended up taking an extra 6 months because it was a pretty big adjustment for me.
Wow.
But
yeah,
that was a big adjustment to try and get used to that. You know, that there were these rules that I wasn't used to.
Well, whenever I tell people I was in the Navy, they always say thank you for your service. But it wasn't hard for me as it was for my family because we were always moving. And my first wife never drove and took her from Scotland, where she'd never been more than 35 miles from her home, all the way across the country by herself with 2 kids less than 2 years old. It was tough for her.
Worked out all right, though. I'm pretty happy.
Good. Yeah, I'm happy myself.
Yeah. It was, I look back, those were fond memories for me. We got to see some cool things, and when I was 14, Dad rented a VW camper van, and we traveled all around Spain, the four of us in a VW camper van. It was fun. I had great memories of that.
You know, one of the stories that I've heard about you, and I think Steve has talked about it on the podcast before, but one of the stories I've heard about you when he was, I think, probably middle school or junior high or something, y'all were at a grocery store, and there was a
I bet he doesn't remember this.
You tell the story.
Well, we were at the commissary. This was in Homestead, I think. Maybe it was Rhoda. And we were pushing the grocery cart out and just doing our thing. And you said, "Hang on, kids." And it was me and Donna. And you said, "I'll be right back." And you went up, and there was a guy going into the grocery store without his cover on, and you chewed him out. And I remember thinking, I didn't realize my dad was a badass like that. And you just came back like nothing had happened. It was just a normal course of what you did. And I was like, that was like one of those moments I went, Dad's got a little bit of swagger to him there.
Larry, how many years did you serve?
30.
30 years.
30 years, yeah.
Was it hard adjusting to civilian life after being in the Navy?
It was horrible. It was really tough, yeah. Because I was used to walking into an office and people saying, "Yeah, hello, Master Chief, can we help you?"
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I'd walk into a store here and wherever in the States and I'd get ignored.
Yeah.
Yeah, Master Chief's a big deal in the Navy.
Yeah.
Big deal.
Yeah.
Well, my last question for you, Marilynn, is what do you say to people that say Jovie is not in Dripping Springs? When they come out here and they're like, "Oh, it's Jovie in Dripping Springs," we're like, "Wait a minute, this isn't Dripping Springs. This is still Austin." What is y'all's response to that?
I mean,
You're wrong.
we are Dripping Springs has adopted us. What do you mean? We're a huge piece of that. So no, I think that we tell them, close enough, right? It's just 5 minutes down the road.
People don't understand that area right there is annex the right word?
Well, it's in the ETJ, so it is.
Oh, it's technically, I think,
It's like-
technically your address is Dripping Springs, though, isn't it?
No, it's
No,
Austin.
our address is Austin.
Is it Austin?
Mm-hmm.
That's what I would say. When people say, "Well, you're really in Austin," you say, "No, only by address only."
Exactly.
We're Dripping Springs.
Yeah, but in our hearts, definitely Dripping
Yeah.
Springs.
You are
Yeah.
part
We
of the
are
hill
part of the dark
country.
sky community and everything.
Yeah.
Oh, wonderful.
We
so
are.
you guys do adhere to all of the dark sky.
We do. Yep.
That's great.
Yeah.
That is wonderful.
How can people find out more about Jovie if somebody's interested in getting a tour or maybe even living there?
Oh my gosh, definitely reach out to our team. We would love to meet you. It's myself, Audra, Sydney, and Liang. So any one of us would be more than happy. Just give us a call at 512-253-7545. You can also send us an email. You can come in and visit with us. We'd love to be able to meet you and get a chance to show you around.
And your website is livejoviebelterra.com, or you can continue to listen to the podcast and you can hear our commercials.
Yeah, that's
and you can hear
right.
all the contact
Yeah.
information on there.
Well, and thank you for sponsoring the podcast. We couldn't do it without
Thank you
you.
so
Thank
much.
you so much for the opportunity.
Yeah,
Well,
it's
we
been fun
wanted to
having a
say
partnership with
absolutely
you.
thank you so much for believing in us. And this is our fourth year going into our fourth year, and we've had a lot of fun. And it was with advertisers like you that it makes it possible. And we get to sit down with our community members and Steve's dad. And
I just have one quick comment before
Yeah.
we end, and I want to make a disclaimer. I don't work for Greystone.
Well, you did a good
But-
job promoting
but,
them, though.
But people ask me about Jovie, and I always tell them the same thing. The thing that makes Jovie is people, the staff.
Yeah.
Sydney, Audra, and Yang, they're the best people. They're really great people.
Oh, now I'm going to cry. I made it a whole podcast without tearing up.
Oh, that's, yeah.
Well, very, very grateful.
Yeah, I thank you for taking such good care of Dad. And Dad, I'm glad you're here. It's been really great rekindling
Been good.
our relationship.
Thanks. It's been good to be here.
Well, good.
you know what? Steve has softened a lot since you've been in town, since you've lived here.
Has he really?
He really has. He was kind of a
Yeah, now I'm,
butthead before.
I'm about as soft as a peach pit now.
That's right.
Which is much
That's right.
softer than before.
Does that mean that I could call you and tell on him? I'm telling your dad. Oh, I am.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, I will.
Yeah.
Okay.
I have a lot of influence on
Okay,
him,
let's
that's
do
true.
that.
I got to tell you a story. So Mom, your first wife, we had been about 20 episodes in, and she was listening to every episode. And one day my phone rings, and I go, "Hey, Mom, how are you?" And she goes, "I got something to talk to you about." I was like, "Oh, is everything okay?" And she goes, "Does everybody in Texas curse like that?" And she was talking about Michelle.
Curse on the air.
I did. Hell yeah, I did.
Can you not do that?
It was funny, and so now I was like,
What did you say?
who knows? But I said I tease Steve all the time. I was like, "You're in your 60s, and you got in trouble from your mom."
I was like, "My mom just called, and she's mad because we're cursing on the air."
Now I'm going to call your dad.
Well, thank you both for being here, and Marilynn, I hope everybody that's listening reaches out to you if they are interested in living there, or they have a relative that's interested in living there at Jovie Belterra. It's been really great for Dad, and Dad, I'm glad you're here.
I'm glad to be here. Thanks for asking me.
Thank you so much.
And we're going to have you on by yourself. Now that we're not so scary, we're going to deep dive and we're going to get you in this studio.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Yes.
Okay.
We're going to do it. All right.
Now go to livejoviebelterra.com.
Find your joy at Jovie Belterra. Life is better here. This thoughtfully designed 55-plus community is paired with resort-style amenities and social activities. They offer 1- and 2-bedroom homes located in Dripping Springs, the gateway to the Hill Country. Make friends, make memories, make time for you at Jovie Belterra. Live joviebelterra.com, 737-387-6870.
From rodeo clowns, teachers or doctors, and everyone in between, Texans have one thing in common: hard work deserves smart banking. At Southstar Bank, whether you're buying your first home, building a dream ranch, or just managing daily finances, our 16 branches across Central Texas are here for you. Southstar Bank, trusted by professionals, backed by tradition, and built for Texas. SouthstarBank.com, member FDIC, an equal housing lender, NMLS 410624. Your weekend doesn't really start till you're with Deep Eddy Vodka.
The tasting room in Dripping Springs, where the Hill Country gathers.
Sip real fruit vodka, handcrafted cocktails, or a mocktail if you're keeping it light.
Food trailers on the weekends, a family-friendly vibe, and you've got your new favorite hangout. Deep Eddy Vodka Tasting Room. Sip local, sip real in Dripping Springs.
Follow Deep Eddy Vodka Tasting Room on Facebook and Instagram for what's pouring and what's happening.
This show is brought to you in part by the Mallet Integrity Team, serving Dripping Springs, Austin, and the surrounding areas of Central Texas since 2004. When you need the best real estate advice and service, give them a call at 512-829-2062 or email them at malletintegrityteam.com.
You know you like us, so go now to Apple Podcast or Spotify and leave us a review. Why don't ya? We love your feedback and comments. Email us at malletandmichelle@gmail.com.
Thanks for putting up with us.